Hi, my name's Ed and this is the first in a whole series of videos that we're going to be doing about wildlife gardening. This is part of the John Clare Countryside project, which is aiming to create a nature recovery area between Peterborough and Stamford. Now, wildlife gardening is awesome. What it is really just getting out in your garden, bringing in some creatures and creating habitats and improving things so that your garden can support more life. Now, did you know since the 1970s, over 40% of all species in the UK have been in decline, and this is often due to habitat loss. And okay, there are things like nature reserves which are brilliant, but there is actually more land in the UK taken up by private gardens than if you put all the nature reserves together. And so doing something in your garden can be really significant. It's quite simple because, you know, I hadn't done any gardening myself really, short of mowing the lawn, up until lockdown came around last year. And I just looked up a few things and I've improved the habitat in my garden, and since then we've seen a real increase in the number of species that are both visiting the garden and also those that are living in and around the garden as well. So what is wildlife gardening? Really, it's just about going out into your garden and thinking of it as something that will be able to provide habitat for, creatures, insects, animals to live in. And everything really needs three basic things to survive, and that is food, water and shelter. Now, you won't need to provide everything in your garden, and because lots of things will move between different gardens and get a little bit from here, a little bit from there. But the more things you can provide in your garden, the greater variety, the better. Now, when you think about things like food, obviously we're all familiar with feeding the birds, and that's something that lots of people do. But it might just be looking at maybe the types of plants that you're planting and what they can provide. So if you take a look at this hedge that I planted last year, for example, it doesn't look very impressive now, but once it gets established and as it starts to grow in the spring, there's going to be some blossom coming. That's going to feed certain insects. That will turn into fruit that again are going to feed other creatures. So you're going to be providing food with that hedge. As well as that, again, once it's more established, then it provides somewhere for shelter as well. So it's a food and shelter. Then if you look over here, I made a wood pile, and that wood pile is going to provide not only shelter in terms of the little nooks and crannies down there for various things to get in and out of, but also it's going to be providing food for insects, and it's going to be providing for fungi as well that started growing on the wood now that it's rotting down a bit. So it's not just as simple as placing those things out. Now, if you think about some water, then it could just be having a little bird bath, for example. Maybe you're going to have a pond in your garden. Maybe you can put something a bit like the bird bath maybe down on the floor so it's accessible for other creatures as well. But ultimately, what you're going to be doing is looking around and just seeing how you can improve those things. The great thing is that with plants particularly, you can find a whole list of different species on the Royal Horticultural Society website, and downloading a list of plants that are beneficial for animals and for creatures. And so by doing that, next time you buy some plants, you can buy something that's beneficial as opposed to something that just looks good. Okay, so there you have it, just a quick look at wildlife gardening as a whole. Really the next videos that we're going to be putting out will be more focused on one specific subject, and that's going to be showing you what you can do for helping wildlife in your garden, but more focused on that one thing. But in the meantime, what I recommend is you guys go out there and do a bit of research. A quick, look on the internet. You'll find lots of great websites that have got a whole host of information about wildlife gardening. As well as that, you can check out YouTube. There's some great videos out there. And then if you want to go a bit more old school, then you could even consider getting yourself a book. There's lots of those as well, but my favourite is this one here by Adrian Thomas. And putting it all together, working those sources, a bit of internet, bit of video, bit of books, is going to really bring something, allow you to create something in your garden that works really well for you. So we look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun out in your gardens and helping improve the wildlife in our local area. Thanks very much.